Hey guys, it's Melissa from New Digs, and today I want to give you a brief overview of a very big subject, which is vegetable gardening. Working at the nursery where I do, one thing I've been seeing a lot, one thing that COVID has done for us, if there's one gift it's given us, is that I think people are starting to think more about growing their own food. And we've seen certainly a boom in growing veggies, especially at the nursery. I want to give you kind of an overview of basic ways you can get vegetables into your garden. You can either buy them at the nursery or you can start them from seed. If you start them from seeds, you can start them inside your house in the wintertime. That requires a little bit of pre-planning. And I wouldn't say it's an advanced gardening technique, but it's certainly something we'll talk about in another video of its own, growing vegetable seeds inside. You can also direct seed many vegetables right into the garden. And I've done that here, and I'm going to show you some samples. And finally, you can buy vegetables already started at nurseries, and this is the easiest thing to do. This is a little eggplant, and you see how tiny it is. When this has been in the ground for a few weeks, it's going to start producing fruit like crazy, and you can see that it's already got some flower buds on it, and the fruit, the eggplant itself, comes from those flowers. You can also buy these cell packs, and these will have individual plants in them. If you look over here behind me, this is Swiss chard that I bought in a cell pack like this and planted, maybe 5 weeks ago, I would say. In addition, if you look here, this is cabbage, and same thing. All those big, beautiful cabbages came out of a cell pack this size. So I want to show you another raised bed that I'm growing vegetables in. And this one has examples of things that I've direct seeded, things that I planted the seeds directly in the soil, of things that I started from those little cell packs, like the cabbage and the Swiss chard, and some things that we started under lights inside. So let me just give you a quick overview. First of all, lettuce in the front here is one of the easiest crops for any beginning gardener to grow, and it's really gratifying. The seeds come up really quickly. You can sow them in a row like this. You can kind of broadcast them so that it's spread out a little bit more. These I planted, I think late April, and it's late May now, so they're looking wonderful. Here are 2 tomatillos that Jill started inside under lights, and they're still very small, but as soon as I get them in the ground, they'll really get their legs under them. And last year, from the tomatillos that Jill grew from seed, we had bumper crops, both of us. These are leeks that Jill started inside under lights, and when I put them in, they were so tiny they looked like blades of grass, and already they've come really quickly. Cauliflower, as I said, from the seed packs that I purchased from the nursery. This is spinach. Again, spinach, lettuce are all cold season crops. They like to be, they like cooler temperatures. So after I harvest this, in the heat of the summer, I can plant something else there, or I can just keep the space open and plant more of these cold weather crops again in the fall. Things like the tomatoes, the tomatillos, anything that needs to produce a fruit, a flower in order to produce fruit, they're going to be more warm season crops. So much of what you see here is cool weather vegetables. Finally, this is a plant that I've never grown before. They are fava beans. And I love fava beans. I know they're expensive in the grocery store, so I wanted to give it a try. So I planted those on May 3rd. I put the little date on my planter stick here, which is always a good thing to do, to remind yourself when you put the seeds in the ground so that you can monitor what's going on and how the growing process is going. And then finally, there's one little volunteer here. It's called a volunteer. Sometimes when you plant vegetables in a raised bed, the following year, so this for example is a tomato. A tomato, for example, will fall off and seed itself in the ground and come up as a volunteer the next spring. So we've got a little teeny tomato plant, and I have those in several of my beds. My tomatoes were very prolific last year, so I need to go through and pull those out. Quick note on things like tomatoes and tomatillos, they're big plants. So we have a video about planting tomatoes, but the big thing you want to do is make sure they have enough sun and that you have enough space for them, because they're going to get both tall and wide and leggy. So although these tomatillos look tiny now, when you see them at the end of the summer, the entire tutor here will be covered. Well guys, a much needed rain has just started to fall here in my veggie garden. So Jill and I are going to say adieu for now, and thank you for watching New Digs, and we'll see you next time.